Hey, what's up, folks? How's it going? How's everyone doing? I am just going to be doing a bit of studying today. Been reading The Life and Games of Mikhail Tal lately, as you can see. Kind of resembles the image, this one. Okay, you guys get it. So this is the book that I'll be reading. I've never read it. It's an absolute classic, and it's been missing from my chess literature. So yeah, I'm a little bit in. I think I've read the first 60 pages or so. So we'll be picking up on chapter 2, I guess, which is called A Young Master. And yeah, just be doing some reading. We'll be playing through the games as well. Tal is, of course, an incredible player, and I really enjoy kind of going through his notes and seeing his games, of course, because he's really a brilliant attacker. Okay, let me, looks like this next position actually doesn't start from the beginning, so I'm gonna have to set it up on the board. So this game looks like Tal was playing white. I definitely feel like I've seen this this game before, but never hurts to look at it more than once. Oh, that's great, Scott. Yeah, I'm really enjoying the book so far. Yeah, I know, Sparks. It's David's turn now to win a tournament. Jake the Gamer, I don't know if that game's in here actually. I have no idea. Maybe I can check the back real quick. I'm sure there's a collection of all the games that are in this book, like on Chess Games or something. See, Petrosian 473. Yeah, there's Tal Petrosian 1974. Just maybe a different game. And 363. Tal Petrosian 1967. So I don't think they have the 1973 game in here, as far as I can tell. Oh, let me put who's playing here. You know, Baron, I heard they are doing the Denver Open and that they're even making it a 9-round event, which means I would definitely consider playing. Okay, so I will read. 1956 began with my first appearance in the final of the USSR Championship, which was on this occasion was unfortunately rather weakened. At that time, all our leading players would normally take part in the championship, but this was the year of the candidates tournament, and so all those seeking the chess crown, with the exception of Spassky, preferred to rest. I started well. In particular, one of my victories, that over Simogan, appeared in all the chess periodicals, although there was only one move in it which proved difficult. Tal always has these like little riddles in his little excerpts. Hopefully the music is not too distracting. But you guys can let me know. So in this position, it says black is trying to drive the knight away, but white does not even think of retreating. So I know the key idea here, or the key move that Tal played. I'm wondering if I can understand the point. So he went for this sacrifice, knight of 7, king takes, and then the idea is to push f5. Black goes d takes e5 in that position. And what happens? Yeah, okay, right. Then he goes d takes e6, king takes e6, and rook b1. And sometimes something I like doing when I'm reading a book is I try to visualize, the idea, the moves that were played out, but I just try to visualize it just to kind of see how it would feel to be the player actually calculating all this stuff. So this was his combination. Knight takes f7, king takes f5. Black goes d takes e5, f takes e6, king takes e6, and then this key move rook b1 in that position. So I know this was his idea, but I'm just trying to like exactly puzzle out why rook b1 is needed. I guess it's to win material. So if black takes the rook, then there's going to be some check, either queen c4 check or queen g4. I think queen c4 check, the king has to step to a light square, and then bishop comes to a dark square, and then bishop can come to a3 with check and win the queen. And then white has, I think, enough material, like queen for rook in peace, but black's king is super weak. And I guess on rook b1, if black does not take the rook, if black goes queen a6, that would be kind of a difficult question for me. I guess, I mean, it's nice that the rook is on the b file, but what exactly does white do there, right? Queen g4 check, king d6. D takes e5 maybe. Or rook f7, also possible. Rook f7, rook d8. D takes e5, knight takes e5. Bishop f4, something like that. Oh, Jesse won the last Denver Open. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's cool though. So really fascinating that, he would go for this line. But he probably calculated much, much further. His calculation was really, really fantastic. Okay, I don't like to spend too much time. I just try to get some idea and then read the notes. So let's see. So he took. Whoops. Let me this legal moves only. So takes f5 takes rook b1 double exclam. It says it was after finding this move in his preliminary calculations that white decided to sacrifice the knight. So in Queen A5, there's Rook takes B7. Yeah, that one was clear. Queen A6 is given. There can follow Queen G4 check, King D6. So this is where I wasn't sure whether the idea was to take or to throw in Rook F7. But he gives D takes E5, King C7, Bishop F4. And well, I mean, clearly White has some serious threats. And it's really unclear what Black can do with the king. Like moving the king out of the way just runs into Rook FD1. Of course, there's E6 ideas as well, even if the king moves. So that makes sense. Now I want to check this one if D takes E5 was the only move. So D5 is pretty strong. Rook F7 also good for White, so it's not like White had only one option here. So this would have also been winning with this key idea, Bishop F4, E6. Wow. Really brilliant combination. So Black did take on B1, and maybe this is the best try, just to grab some material, but Bishop A3, Rook takes B1. Oh, actually, important point, because Black takes this one at the end. I didn't actually realize this would be hanging, but White has Queen B3. So he really saw everything. Without this Queen B3 move, I think Black would actually be fine, because Black would have like Rook and 2 pieces for the Queen. But taking on B7, that's a big deal, because now Black's king is just way too weak. D6 takes, Rook D1. This one, Rook F1, Rook E1. I guess he didn't want to run this way because, let's see, Queen E6, Bishop F6. Rook E1 anyway. Anyway, King F5, G4, King F6, Rook F1, King G6, check, King H7, and takes. Why didn't he go Bishop F6? Oh, I guess this one and this one. White still wins material. Okay, so Tal won this game. GG. And then he was kind of inconsistent in the tournament. And then in the final round, he managed to play a nice game. Okay, let's check out the final round. Yeah, Tal was indeed attacking genius. I'm not sure what flagging Kasparov has to do with being an attacking genius, but he was an attacking genius. That's for sure. Our next game was Tal against Tolush. And Tolush, if you guys don't know, was a guy who played chess at a high level in the USSR, Russia. Anyway, I think he also wrote some books. And he had some instructive games. All right, new position. By the way, I've been doing this last couple of days, usually on the big OTB, but figured might as well stream it every once in a while because people like seeing the games. Oh, and queen. Honestly, this configuration of pieces could already you could already guess what the opening was based on seeing white's pieces alone, I think. Especially once you see black's pieces, but I think already from seeing white's pieces, it should be clear. Those who know, know. Yeah, Tony knows. Easy. And then, of course, black's pieces confirm the hypothesis. Okay. So, typical position, poison pawn, Najdorf, Tal Tolish, USSR Championship, 1956. So Fischer at this time, he's like 12, 13 years old and just becoming good. In the meantime, Tal is already headed to the top. So in this position, Tal played bishop b5, which he gives as interesting. It is now known that knight takes e6 double exclam gives white a decisive attack. Is that true? Is it decisive for white? It's amazing that they figured anything out before engines. Oh boy. Okay, maybe Tal's not 100% correct on this one. Apparently every move is like totally winning for white. Did I miss a piece? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I missed a piece. Hold on. Black is another knight. That's why every move is winning for white. They're up a piece. Okay. Now we have some more clarity. Yeah. No, Tal speaks the truth. Knight takes c6 is like crushing. Actually, let me put this back. So Fe, I'm just curious how this works because I don't really know the stuff here too well. Takes, queen takes. All right, rook f8 check. King g3. Knight c6. Oh, just taking this one and mating. So black is just lost. I guess this isn't that hard to figure out. Wow, bishop e2, key move. Okay, so it's now known that this is winning for white. How does he even think about playing bishop b5? Well, I mean, I think it's all about, it's a thematic sacrifice in the Sicilian. Usually white is taking a pawn. I guess it's a lot more natural if there was a pawn on b5 and you would be capturing. But the idea is to, okay, play for these squares. You don't have to be tall to see that this is a checkmate. Yeah, checkmate. King has no squares and is in check. Checkmate. That is our vocabulary word of the day. But let's see what happened, because of course it's not so easy. Takes, f6. E takes f6, gf6 was played. But there's a note. It is also difficult for black to defend himself after queen takes e4. F takes g7. Bishop c5 check, king g3. Queen e5 check, king h3, queen takes g7. Wow, knight c7 check, king f7, rook f1 check. King g8, bishop h6. Or I'm just gonna put the lines in and then we'll go through them a bit more slowly because usually I just kind of like entering the variations first and then taking a step back. Or apparently after takes, okay, if queen f5 check in this position, rook f3, bishop c5 check, king g3, queen e5 check, king h3, rook g8, rook e1. So white, according to Tal, wins here as well, or at least has good attacking chances. And then finally, the best move according to Tal was knight takes f6, which would have given black good defensive chances. Okay, still looks like a crazy sharp position. I mean, knight d6 check seems annoying to start. I guess takes, king e7, maybe not so bad for black. Of course, knight c7 check, white can win some material, but I don't know how much we want to take that rook in the corner. And we can also take on f6 with something. Yeah, definitely looks very scary either way. So I want to look at these other lines he mentioned. So queen takes e4, he said was not working for black. Fg, bishop c5 check, queen e5. Okay, king h3 takes, check. A lot of times these variations, they just seem like, I don't know. they just seem like study like. G3 coming. Okay, this I can understand is winning for white. Black's king is getting mated. A lot of extra pieces, but they're off the board basically. And if rook g8 here, I mean, yeah, what about rook g8? I guess rook e1. And then there's always this pressure. Rook e1, queen f5, g4. And now there's this one, and yeah, wow, that's like a nice, I mean, a nice mate basically. Oh, actually, no, it's not mate. King can still escape, but okay, feels like all of white's pieces are coming in. I guess there was also rook takes e6 here, if we wanted to. And then it seems like black's king should be too exposed. Yeah. Yeah, probably there's multiple wins there for white. But clearly, yeah, the attack is there. And then if queen f5 check, this was the other line, rook f3, check, queen e5. Okay, rook g8, rook e1, very, very similar to what we were just looking at. And this is clear now because we have this one, and of course queen is under attack. Apparently knight takes f6 though gives black good defensive chances. Well, yeah, somehow it feels like I don't know, like black's king has a lot of squares. Still looks super, super dangerous. But I have no idea how I would play this as white. It also, really a risky position to enter as white. You make one wrong move, you're down a piece. So you really have to be super precise here. Yeah, I don't know. My instinct would be something like knight d6 check, take, king e7, and then like rook e1, and hope I didn't blunder something. And then I don't know. Looks very dangerous, but still does seem unclear. Yeah. I mean, here I want, like knight f5 check, and then knight takes g7, king takes, bishop f6, king takes, like queen h6. Like you could kind of see how that would lead to mate, like with the other rook coming in as well in the third rank. So there are definitely some threats here, but I mean, of course, black gets a move here to figure something out. Yeah. But super sharp positions. So hard to play from either side. Jaspers, I'm not sure about that. Actually, I think this narrative of like Tal sacrifices being incorrect, I think it's a little overblown actually. For one, a lot of his sacrifices and combinations are totally correct, like 100% engine approved. And the other thing is that like lots of people have flawed sacrifices. Like I think that's just like part of the game. Like sacrificing something, but you get nice attacking chances, and then part of the deal is that it's hard for the opponent to defend. So you get some practical chances, even if objectively it might not be correct. Yeah, like Carlsen, Caruana, Aronian, these guys have all had lots of games where they've made unsound sacrifices. But with Tal, it kind of became part of his personality. But I think it's over consumed his his legend a bit. He was also like a really good endgame player, and like I mean, quite good strategically. Anyways, let's play through the rest of the game. So black played gf6 here. Rook e1 exclam. Wow. Black played rook a6. I do wonder what would happen on fg. Seems like knight c7, right, is just terrible. Like if king d8, then at least here, and then, okay, the attack continues, and if king e7, then we can take on g5 with the queen, and this looks like mate. This just looks like mate is coming. Yeah. Yeah, Shirov is another guy. At least for Shirov, that's definitely part of his legacy. That's pretty well known, I think, that he's a amazing endgame player as well. But yeah, it's not so crazy that these amazing attacking players are also super good with the endgame. Oh, I see Jaspers. That makes sense. Well, you have Dubov. Dubov is the guy that I think is currently holding up Tal's mantle. What about knight takes g5 immediately? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, it gives black a tempo, right, for like bishop c5, but it's still looks super dangerous for black. I don't know. My instinct is to go the more forcing way if it works, but yeah, I wouldn't really want black's position either way. But at least on knight takes g5, I don't know. There's like check and tempo for the rook or something. I don't know. Yeah. No, they're not easy. They're for sure not easy. So rook a6 was played. Bishop takes f6, knight takes king f7, rook f3. So queen takes b5. I think the idea is to give this check. King e8, knight c7 wins the queen. Then if king goes over this way, then queen g5. Bishop g7, knight e7, mate. So very, very nice line. So if this one we have this fork, and if this one we have this mate. And if king g6, then I guess rook f6 to start, and then should be some mate here. So rook f3, queen h4 check, king f1, e5, queen d5 check, bishop e6, knight d7 check, king g6, knight takes e5, rook g3, takes, queen takes b7, because why not, knight d7, hg, rook b6, queen c7, bishop c5, takes, bishop c4 check, a little bit of counterplay, but white has a ton of material, and apparently here black overstepped the time limit. Oh, so he flagged Tolush because of his great attacking skills. Maybe Jake was right. You know, chess is life. I don't know. I think it's based on what you prefer and what you're trying to improve. Personally, I actually prefer OTB. I like moving the pieces around. I don't find it tedious. For me, I mean, I pretend like I'm having, you know, personal lessons with Mikhail Tal himself, and he's taking me through some of his games and asking me, you know, to come, like, figure out his ideas. I don't know. Personally, I'm, like, very grateful to be able to, like, learn from such a maestro as Tal. So the fact that I have to, like, move the pieces on the board, it, to me, feels like a very, very small penalty for that. But beyond that, you know, if your goal is to become a better OTB player, I think working OTB makes sense. If you're just playing online, then I don't think it's it really matters. At least that's my opinion. So I mean, I would just say like whatever you prefer, whatever gets you to read the book, you know. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, when you have a lot of variations, what I do is I try to like I just keep the board position on the board, and then I just try to like visualize the note. But if it gets too deep, like I can't visualize it, I'll just kind of depend. Like if it looks like a really interesting line, then I'll play it out and take a look and then go back. But if it's like a lot of computer stuff, I just skip it. I'm not really interested in the computer analysis, you know? Like that's how I think people should read the Kasparov books. Because the Kasparov books I think are great and they have like a ton of amazing games, but there's all this like computer analysis that's not even correct anymore. So it was done using the engines of the day, and nowadays I'm sure today's engines probably, you know, would find all kinds of holes. But you know, the stories and the narrative of the game, that's what I think is the most useful part, right? Just like knowing like, oh, you know, Tal was better at playing these kinds of positions. Petrosian was better at playing these kinds of positions. You know, and here like Petrosian would take on slightly worse positions, knowing that he could hold them, and this guy would do this. Like that's the stuff that I think is more interesting, rather than but on move 18, you know, Black could have saved themselves with like this double exclam move and then this double. It's like okay, whatever. Amazing, wow, so amazing. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. I want to know what the people thought, you know, about the games. That's what's most interesting to me, and I think that's what's gonna, you know, help one become a better player. Yeah, that's why all these like pre-computer books are awesome because you just have the thoughts of the players. They're even if they wanted to, they're like not allowed. They're not allowed to cheat. There's just no engines at the time, so they had to just give give their own thoughts. So I think like the Fisher book is great, and it's always a pleasure to read these somewhat older books. Okay, so it's a little bit of story time here. I'll spare you guys from reading all of it. Okay, we're on to the 1957 USSR Championship. And this was the first time Tal got to play against a lot of strong players like Taimanov, who he beat, Bronstein, who was his early hero. So a big tournament for him. Wow, then he dropped his first half point in the fifth round against Korchnoi. Well, in the sixth round, he was drastically punished by Nejmadinov for incorrectly assessing the position. The following could have been my best game in the championship. After interesting complications, this was the position reached. Oh, so he missed a nice win in this game. Okay. All right, I'll put it on the board. No, I haven't read the Yusupov books actually. I just never got into them, but I think they're great. A lot of people really like them and speak highly of them. Hey, doggy, how's it going? So this is the game Tal against Antoshin. So Tal writes, I sacrifice the exchange. Rook takes b2. Oops, let me start making moves. Rook takes b2, takes, queen d5 check, king h8, queen d4. Okay, threatening this one, right? Takes, queen takes, rook g8, knight g5, h6, check, king h7. Okay, so here he was calculating this one. Queen f5, check, g6, queen back to d7, g takes h5, knight g5 check, king g6, queen e6 check, king takes g5, g3, threatening h4 with mate in that position. So black goes h4, f4 check, king h5, and here he thought his pawn is still on g2 and he can't go g4 because of en passant. But his pawn was on g3 and he could actually mate. Wow. Imagine calculating this deep and then messing up the position. Being so close. So here he thought he couldn't go g4 because he would get taken en passant. And yet this would have been impossible here. Leading to a very nice mate. Yeah, Star Princess. I think I I will be. Right now I'm working on courses for the dojo, for our new site. And I'm really thinking hard about how to construct a proper training plan for folks to improve and enjoy following. That's kind of the challenge. CloudSat, this is a playlist I've been using for a while, by someone called Mr. Daniel Bardson. The playlist used to be called Twitch and Chill, but now it seems to be blank, like it has no name. Yeah. Yeah, we were very excited about the site. Okay, so in the game, he quickly won back the exchange and then made a draw. Okay, then he made 4 draws in a row. Then he managed to defeat Karas in positional style and even started leading the tournament with Bronstein. In the following round, the 17th, Tal played a game which brought him half a point, enormous satisfaction, and a special prize. Wow, okay. So this game is given in full and without a lot of commentary, so we're just gonna play through it. This is a Tal Aronin, not to be confused with Aronian. Aronin was another one of these old Soviet masters that played a lot of thematic games. Yeah, these tournaments were crazy long. They were like 12-player quadruple round robin, 36 rounds. With adjournments too. They would adjourn the game. So you would play a game and then adjourn it. So you'd be playing like 36 games and then like 20 adjournments. Absolutely insane. Anyway, that's why they were really good, because they were forced to play and like analyze all their games, and they didn't have engines to make things easy for them. So they were forced to just analyze all their own games and use their own heads all the time. So they were very strong players. Anyway, Tal Aronin, d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, c5, e3, bit of a timid opening. Knight f3, knight c6, a3, bishop d6, takes, b4, bishop goes back, bishop b2, castles, queen c2, knight e5, queenside castles. It begins, queen e7, knight b5, knight ed7, takes, queen c3, rook e8, g4. Wow, look at this. What is he, alpha 0? I guess you don't have to be alpha 0 to see that pawn is hanging, huh? Okay, queen f8, bishop d3, knight b6, g5, knight a4, queen c2. I thought queen sack was coming. Nope, queen c2, takes, king takes. That would be a funny puzzle. You show someone this position, be like, oh, this was a Tal game, white to play. And see how many people are like, oh, is it this or is it this? It's like, no, he played queen c2, just avoiding getting his queen taken. Takes. Don't do that, guys. People will be really upset. c4. Now he takes. He takes d3, queen takes, e5. Knight g5, g6. All right, Claude said, let me know how it goes. Yeah, it would be a high-rated puzzle. Yeah, absolutely. Bishop f5, e4, bishop g4, h5. Yeah, okay, takes. And then queen h3, and also on the diagonal. So rook a d8. hg, there we go. There we go. This is the puzzle. Okay, this is the puzzle. Rook takes d3. Wow. Rook takes h7. Wait, did I get this right? Oh no, I messed up. Sorry. Rook takes d3. He takes back. Hg. Rook h7. Sorry, yeah, I missed. I thought it didn't make sense. So he sacked the queen for the rook. Rook c8, f3, rook c6, takes, 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 takes. King takes f6, rook d7, rook b6, c3, king g5, a4, a6, king c4, king takes g4, and the players looks like agree to a draw. Wow. So this, I guess, won some kind of brilliancy prize, this queen sack. Even though the game ended in a draw, I guess they thought that it was just a very, very well played game, which is totally reasonable. Because I mean, it looks like White's position looked. I mean, it feels like White has a big advantage here. But he wasn't able to win. You know, I'm not sure about this decision. Although, you know, I mean, clearly when he played h5 here, he probably had the queen sack in mind. Yeah, the big exchange, exactly. Takes, takes, takes. I do wonder if White could have gotten more though, because I guess this was only enough for a draw. I don't know, my instinct here would be to just take back and just play this position where still feels like white should be better here. I mean, as long as black's bishop on c8 isn't really developed, you know. Black goes as the tempo to move the knight. Maybe knight d5, right? Just offering the pawn to open up the bishop. I don't think white would want to take this one. But I think if I'm playing white, I would continue either knight e5 or h4. Let's say knight e5. I mean, still feels nice. But yeah, bishop g4, f3, actually, I was thinking about that too. Probably black throws in rook a d8 anyway to trade off a pair of rooks. And then, let's see. I'm not sure. Let's say queen b3. Rook takes. Rook takes. Bishop e6 seems possible. If knight takes, rook takes. And just ready to take the f6 pawn. I don't know. It's a confusing position for me. It feels like it looks nice for white, like pawn on f6, knight on g5. So it's kind of surprising that white doesn't have more than a draw here. But I don't know. I'm gonna check this one with with the big dog. Okay, Stockfish just says bishop h5. Wow. I guess h6 is an unpleasant threat, huh? And then just putting pressure here. You know, it's not so crazy once you see it. I guess like we're not doing anything on the d file. Black is getting h6 and the knight is going to have to go back to h3. And basically there's no mate or anything. So h5, kd8. Now we'll see how Tal compares to the Stockfish 14 on chess.com. Now the engine actually thinks this rook was better. So I'm wondering what's the difference here. Hg takes fg. And now there's no f7 check. So white doesn't get enough. If there was a rook on e8, then white would win another rook and would be pretty happy. So had black played this rook, then Tal's sack actually isn't working. Could still try this one. Rook takes h7, threatening f7 check, which would force black to give the queen, but black just goes queen takes f6. Yeah. Okay, well this is an example of maybe the sack being unsound. But as we see in this example and many examples, it's very hard to defend. So black went here, and now this is giving white enough. Because hg is forced, rook h7. And white has enough for the queen here. Now had black gone back, then... Oh, this was the idea. Rook d2, rook h2. Mr. Harpaint, that's I think that's good advice. Maybe I'll use that. If you're if you're having trouble, just choose and then choose the other one. So that's why black had to be very, very, very careful with the rook c6 and give back the material, but to make sure that he doesn't get mated. Yeah, Wrath of Gods, let's see. Feels like black took too much material there. Wait, that was this line. Yeah, actually this is best, but okay, actually this is an interesting point. Only after bishop c8 black is actually winning. Because the knight is trapped. Though queen f6 is not maybe not the only move here. Although actually it does seem to be the cleanest. So this would have been, yeah. This would have been the line. Exactly. And then only this one. Otherwise white would be okay because the knight would be getting out and white would get counterplay. So wow. Yeah, that's the one thing about the book is that a lot of the notes aren't too detailed. Like it just gives the game. I do wish it had more of like, this is what I saw, this is what I didn't see, you know, type of thing. Anyway. Okay, so this game was drawn. And then Tal says he was greatly inspired. In the next round, he sacrificed a piece against Gruganidze and won in 27 moves. And then he was leading going into the last round. Let's see. So my last round opponent was Tolush, says Tal, while Bronstein had to play Kolmov, against whom by order no one won at the time, so that a draw would assure me of a share of first place. Not sure what he's trying to say. That's the thing with Tal. It's never clear what he's trying to say. Like, is he trying to say things were fixed in his favor, or is he trying to say that the USSR Chess Federation was protecting Kolmov? I don't understand. What are you implying? Just say it. Just come out and say it. Oh, a famous story with the hippopotamus and dragging it out of the marsh. Okay, so last round he's playing Tolush, and it was a very, very fighting game. All right, so we're gonna see the, I guess the end to this game. Okay, man, crazy position. Tal Tolush. Yeah, exactly, Mr. Artbrains, exactly. Okay, this was in Tbilisi, by the way. Joja, as they say in the South. All right, so it was white to move here. He played e5. Wow. So I'm just trying to understand the calculations behind e5. Kind of a nice exercise. Critical move seems to be f takes g5. What happens if black takes the bishop? Then I think it's bishop takes g6. Hg, queen h8 check, king f7, rook f1 check, king e7. No, actually, instead of rook f1, so e5, fg, bishop takes g6, hg, queen h8 check, king f7, rook h7, knight takes, queen takes, king f8, then rook f1, bishop f5, but I think gf feels like it should be mating. No, e5 is a very thematic move. In fact, it's not the first Tal game I've seen with an e5 sacrifice. Really, really thematic with the bishop on b1. But of course, it's another thing to actually do it. But I think this line is working. I'll just put it on the board. So if knight takes, then we're taking this one, and minimum we're taking this one, and then this is just checkmate. So pawn takes, I think, is probably a better try, and then my idea was to give this one. King is stuck. Bishop f5, and then I figured this position is winning. I mean, yeah, we're only down an exchange here, and our rook is about to enter the king's quarters. The knight can enter in whenever. Not that we even need this knight. These pawns are like, I mean, FG. I think has to be winning, right? Okay, and if black doesn't take the bishop, well, then this piece seems to be really strong. So for example, take, check. And yeah, this is just forced mate. That's why I love going through these games. The ideas are always so crisp. Boom, we got it. If FG, then takes, check, rook h7. He says it's mating, which, okay, close enough. Did we miss a mate? I mean, it's like almost mate. This line definitely felt winning. I'm sure it's good enough. I'm just curious if there's like a direct mate. Yeah, okay, rook f1, this is, yeah, mate in 7, mate in 6. All right, makes sense. Okay. So e5, black played rook takes e5, which to be fair, I didn't consider too much. Bishop takes g6, rook b7, creative defense. So again, taking here, I think leads to the same, or almost the same mate. See, takes. Here black has an extra square. But of course the attack looks really strong, and white's only down the exchange, so it's really almost hopeless for black. I mean, this I think is winning as well. Although maybe not nearly as easily. Am I missing something here? Is there something like super simple? Check. Of course, we can take on g6 as well, but then I'm worried the king starts running away. That's weird, because Tal says that the same variation works, but I don't know. Oh, just take the queen, just take the queen. Of course. Okay, that makes sense. And if rook takes g5, then there was bishop takes this one. King f7 and knight e4. Yeah, bringing all the friends to the party. And this has to be just totally crushing for white. Okay, so rook b7, knight e4 anyway. Because black can only capture one piece at a time. Fg, well, he takes one. Rook f1. Okay, but now black is in time to capture another piece. But a knight f6 check is a huge threat, so rook takes e4. There's no other way of meeting this threat. Bishop takes e4. Rook g7. And it feels like, yeah, you can take and go bishop h7, right? Wow, he played rook f6. Oh, I guess takes, there's king takes. So queen takes, I think this one is killer. But, and then if king f7, rook f1, But I guess king takes is the problem. Although it should... Okay, it looks like a totally winning position. Black's king is super weak, and we have rook f1 coming, so this seems like a big deal. But anyway, rook f6, no reason to give the exchange. Bishop takes g4, rook hf1. Knight d7, rook takes d6. Queen e7, rook takes a6. King h8 was played. Bishop takes h7 now, because on rook takes, there's mate in 2. Nice. Knight b8, bishop f5. Weird that he didn't go rook f8 check mate in 2. But Tal did this. He would like try to win in flashy ways. Like mate in 2, not good enough. Drake shaking his head, no. But mate in 4, yes. Or it's not even mate in 4, it's just okay. Good enough. Well, okay, a win is a win. So he won the USSR championship, huh? 1957. Amazing. Because he wasn't like a top player at the time just yet. And then 3 years later, he would become world champion. Damn. Okay, there's some more interview here. Okay, he's talking about how they awarded him the Grandmaster title because he won the USSR championship. Da, da, da. I mean, this stuff is interesting. I just want to get to the games. I just want to get to the games and the moves that he made. Oh my god, so much story time. I'll read this later, guys. Don't worry. Okay. Game 8. Kasin against Tal, USSR Championship, 1956. I don't know why he's kind of jumping around, but it's fine. Yeah, I think Tal was the youngest world champion when he won it. All right, Kasin Tal. E4, C5. Knight f3, knight c6. D4, takes. Knight f6, knight c3, d6. So classical Sicilian. Bishop c4, e6, castles a6. Bishop e3, queen c7. This is all very normal. Bishop e7, f4. This one is actually kind of known as the Fischer-Sozin attack. Although here it's being played before Fischer. But that's another story. F4, b5, f5. Yeah. Yeah, I've always heard very good things about Tal in general. I'm very jealous of the people that got to got to work with him. All right, so f5, he gives this move an exclam. Knight takes d4. Queen takes d4. When bishop takes d4, there would have followed b4. Knight e2, e5. So b4 was important to chase the knight away from the d5 square first. Bishop e3, castles with roughly equal chances. Yeah, I feel like these positions are typically fine for black if they have good control over the d5 square. And that's not so easy for white to dominate this one. Let's say bishop b7, take, bishop d5, black can take and take on c2. And I think that's very unclear. So, yeah. But queen takes d4. Castles. White goes fe. Tal says white should not have been in a hurry to make this exchange. The tempting, or rook 81 was stronger. And the tempting a4 would actually lead white to nowhere after bishop d7. Takes, and I guess he's saying black is okay. He even gives knight d5. Takes, bishop takes, rook f8. Because otherwise the rook would have been hanging in the corner. And here taking would have run into bishop takes where white wins the exchange. But black just ignores it and is apparently all right. Okay, so Tal likes rook 81. White took. He takes back. Rook 81. Rook c8. King h1. Rook f d8. Knight d5. With this move, white radically prevents the advance d5, but in doing so, he blocks his light squared bishop's diagonal. So black takes. If bishop takes d5, then queen takes c2. The rook c1, I guess, is not dangerous there. The queen has squares. So e takes d5. Knight d7, very important move. Putting black's pieces on their best squares. Bishop d4. Rook e8. c3. Rook e7. Apparently rook e2 fails to queen g4. Oh, and then this one and this one would be hanging. Yeah, that's an easy blunder to make. Yeah, Chessful, I'm definitely enjoying it. I don't know, somehow it slipped through the cracks. I just never had a chance to read it. But I am correcting that as quickly as I possibly can. I basically been reading it every day. Wow, here white play queen h4. Although Tal says the simple rook takes d4 would have been better. Knight f8. Now he takes. Rook e2. Bishop f5, rook c8. It becomes clear that the initiative is in black's hands. Yeah, I feel like this knight is better, surprisingly, than this bishop. Even though the knight is super passive, it just kind of kills all of white's kingside play, and eventually it can reach the e5 square. You can go like g6, whereas this bishop is always going to be restricted by this pawn. But yeah, black is also doing well for other reasons. So rook b4, rook d2. Bishop e4, queen e7, queen e1. White blunders. Why is this a blunder? Rook takes d5. Takes, queen e1, bishop f7, king h8, and black wins. Yeah. It's kind of surprising because what was white expecting? I guess queen g5 is another move black could play. Where there's no bishop takes h7 because king takes and g2 is hanging. You know, I think I've seen the end to this game. I think it's in the woodpecker method. Starting to feel very familiar to me. So what white should have done was play queen f4. Tuesday night tall. Rook e2, queen f3, and then can't take here, Tall writes, because of rook takes e4, queen takes e4, and then white plays what is now known as the millennial trick. Wow. When was this book written? I mean, it was translated in 1997 or updated. Yeah. These annotations are very modern. By the way, why did school get canceled? Is it because of winter reasons or because of COVID reasons? So there's no rook takes e4. For d2. Damn, winter blizzard. That's crazy. We've been talking about how it's been like nice and warm. Like it feels like the beginning of spring over here in California. Not to not to rub sunshine in the wound, but oh man. I guess it's nice to get a day off. We don't really we never I've never had a snow day in my life, unfortunately. So in rook d2, then queen f4, and yeah, not so easy for black to avoid the repetition. Deep freeze in Texas? Is that real? What does that even mean? So queen e1, rook takes d5. Now if bishop takes d5, there was another wrinkle to this. Queen takes e1, takes, king h8, rook f4. So this is a great puzzle. What should black do here to secure the advantage? Yeah, this is not easy. Yeah, knight g6 baron, very nice. So this is the move that gives black an advantage because actually it's really hard. Like if rook e7 or rook e4, then white does have back rank tricks. For example, this one. Or maybe actually, no, I like this one. And no advantage for black. What to do? Black has to give back the queen. Or if rook e7, then Tal gives bishop c4 exclam, which is very tricky. But the point of putting the bishop on c4 is that um, if black plays knight d7, then white can take and drop back, or maybe this one. But then white's fine. We got the queen back, so white's okay. Do I think game collections are the best chess books 3 for instruction? I don't know enough to make that claim, but I do think they're useful. Best is is a serious term. I don't like throwing around the word best, too easily. But I do think they're good for learning how to. I mean, what could be wrong with just playing through the games of really strong players and then just trying to understand what they were seeing during the game? So instead, white play queen f2 because none of these lines are working for white after knight g6, and then black saves the back rank and saves the queen as well. So queen f2, rook e5, bishop d3, knight d7, rook f4, knight c5 exclam. So white played rook takes f7, which Tal says loses quickly. But bishop b1, rook e2, queen f3, rook e1, black should also win. It's just taking and coming in. So rook takes f7, knight takes d3, queen f3, knight e1 exclam. And now after no, I'm sorry, not knight e1, rook e1 exclam. Yeah, this was a brilliant combination. So the point is that on takes, black is going rook takes f1, queen takes, and then rook takes e7 with the slow kill. Can't stop rook e1. And white's losing the queen back. I really love combinations like this because they're just so satisfying. Just rook e1. Otherwise, actually, black would be in trouble because queen is hanging, and if the queen moves away, then rook f8 is going to be made in two. So of course he had to calculate this here. Knight c5, rook takes f7, knight takes d3, queen f3, and in that position, Tal had to see rook e1 ahead of time. Rook takes e7, rook f1, queen f1, rook takes e7, which is possible to visualize, but it's still incredibly impressive to come up with the idea. And then in the game, after rook e1, queen d5, Black has to come up with a move there. I think the move there was king h8, if I remember correctly. And white has back rank issues. Oh no, it's simpler. So yeah, knight c5 takes here. Rook e1, white play queen d5. So yeah, I was thinking this one, but actually white can play... Wait, where does white play on king h8? Because queen takes d3, there's queen takes f7. Maybe this was also good. In the game, he played queen takes f7 check, which is the easiest. Takes king h8, because now there's still no defense to rook takes f1 and rook e1, which is pretty sick. And the game finished after king g1 takes rook e1. I just love the geometry. There was no king takes f1 because rook e1 mate anyway. This is just such a powerful construction. But yeah, I wonder if was this working? I guess it's not really needed, right? Because anyway, the threat is now to take and then to take. So you kind of might as well just take first and then play here, since white has no defense against this one anyway. Okay, but let me check it just because I'm curious if there is any difference. Yeah, king h8 is working here. In fact, queen e6 is also winning. I guess kind of a cold-blooded way. If takes, then you don't take because of mate, but you can throw this one in. And then black is just up a piece. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, very nice. Next game, game 9. Tal Ivkov, Student Olympiad, Uppsala, 1956. Ivkov was another one of those guys who lost a lot of famous games. Borislav Ivkov. He was very good at losing instructive games. To like Tal, Geller, Botvinnik, everyone. Petrosian, Fischer. Everyone beat up on poor Ivkov. Okay, game 9. We got a Rui. A6, bishop A4. Knight F6, castles. Bishop B7, rook E1, B5. I think Boss Tweet, I would be happy to have a small part in history. However small it was. Hey, Araya, thanks for the gifted sub. I hope you're enjoying the stream. Okay, so we got some classical stuff. Queen C7, knight BD2, bishop D7, knight F1. No, Greco did not beat Ivkov. And rook Fe8. You know, they were saying on the Chess24 stream the other day that like these positions with the closed structure are now considered to be very, very favorable for white. That white often does them even like giving up a tempo, like playing d3 and then d4 and then d5. And that's how much players like, yeah, these like Shigorins from white's point of view. And I feel like I get it. I mean, you get this like closed position, you get your knight f1, your g4, knight g3, b3 looks really, really pleasant for white a lot of the time. Okay, in the tournament at Zagreb, wow, they're still holding tournaments in Zagreb, Grand Chess Tour. Ivkov played knight c4 in a previous game. Here, after knight f1, knight c4. against Smyslov, but got the worst of it after queen e2, rook fe8, b3, knight b6, de, de, c4, exclam, bishop c6, a4, exclam. And he says white was better. No, the Chigorin Rui has always been considered very, very solid, actually. Super, super solid. Just a little passive, that's all. So it's not everyone's cup of tea. Tal says the simple knight e3 might also is also strong. Okay, so rook fe8 played, knight e3. Now he says this position occurred in the games Tal-Kolmov and Boleslavsky-Kolmov from the 23rd USSR Championship. In both games, black continued bishop f8. Boleslavsky succeeded in obtaining an advantage by b4, cd, cd, knight c6, bishop b2, and white won quickly. Ivkov evidently knew about this, and in the present game, he chooses a different continuation. Okay, so in the Kolmov games, black played bishop f8, and then Boleslavsky played b4, takes, takes, knight c6, bishop b2. And if knight c4, then takes, that is bc, bishop g5. Apparently is nice for whites. So knight c6, bishop b2, and apparently Boleslavsky won quickly. Yeah, I mean, b4 pawn is hanging here, but I imagine white has some very nice concrete ideas here. Yeah, USSR championships, definitely. Definitely. Super, super strong tournaments. And it seems like white just gets a huge, huge initiative here. d5 square also, f7 square, yeah. Okay, so that's why in this game, instead of bishop f8, black goes g6 instead. b4. An analogous move to the one made in the game above, and apparently the strongest in this position. As was shown by a number of games in the Zagreb tournament, other continuations do not promise white anything genuine. For instance, in the game Smyslov-Gligorich, there followed d takes e5, de, knight h2, rook a d8, queen f3, bishop e6, knight hg4, takes, takes, knight c4, knight f5, no, knight d5, takes, takes, knight b6. And on the 30th move, the players agreed to a draw. Wow, that was move 2021. So Smyslov-Gligorich agreed to a draw where probably there was play left in the position. Where is the uproar? Where is the outrage? Where's the outrage? Smyslov and Gligorich agreed to a draw. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Position full of fight. Although they did play like 9 more moves, so they probably got some like opposite color bishops or something. Anyway, b4. Takes, takes, knight c4. After knight c6, again, bishop b2 is given. When the pressure along the diagonal gives white a nice advantage. That's fair. So knight c4. Knight takes c4. Pawn takes. I keep thinking, why not queen takes? But then you give this tempo with bishop b3, and that looks super dangerous. Also, the e5 pawn might be hanging. So bc. Rook e3. Now this is not a move I would have really considered. White threatens to transfer his bishop to c3, after which he will have the better chances both on the queen side and on the king side. If black replies c3 themselves, then white goes rook b1. And the passed pawn will sooner or later be captured. Wow. So I guess he didn't want to go bishop b2 or bishop d2 because of c3 coming with tempo, so he starts with this one, preparing to put the bishop here, after which white just gets this like perfect blockade. a4, and if black plays c3 here to stop that, well then he doesn't lose time, he gets rook b1, rook b3, and he just takes this pawn. So yeah, very classy idea, rook e3. The strongest continuation was rook a b8. Then on bishop d2, takes, d5, e5, knight e4, takes, he goes here. Though even then, white keeps some initiative. Yeah, especially with like this g6 around black's king, I could see white having some nice play here. So in the game, black chooses a tempting but weaker continuation. Bishop f8. Bishop b2, exclam. Weaker would be bishop d2. After takes d5, black has no difficulties because yeah, black is just equalizing here. So bishop b2. Now takes, I think, is inadvisable. Even though there's like bishop g7 still, I think, yeah, you just don't want to take and open this diagonal with the bishop on b2. Bishop h6, rook a3. Yeah, another move that wouldn't come to me instantly, but it makes sense. White wants to keep the rook on the third rank so that he can put the bishop on c3. But then where's this rook going? Because if he went back, then c3 again. So rook a3. White threatens to win a pawn with de, rook a5. c3, rook c5. Nice. And after a5 takes, queen takes, queen e1, the ending is clearly in white's favor. So black's strongest move according to Tal was bishop b5, to which he intended to reply d5, keeping a positional advantage as black's bishop on h6 is unable to take part in the defense of his queen side. So notice he doesn't even say that this is the bad bishop. He says this is the bad bishop because it's not really doing anything to fight for the queen side. And yeah, it seems like white has a very simple plan, like bishop c3, rook a5, a4, and slowly squeezing black on the queen side. Definitely looks like a King's Indian gone wrong now. Queen b7 played. D takes e5. Black begins a faulty combination. Queen takes b4. Let's try to figure out what's the move here for white. Could just go rook b1, which seems very annoying. Keeping the threat alive on the knight and also threatening bishop c1 discovered attack against black's bishop on h6. So rook b1, d takes e5, bishop c1, queen c5, keeping an eye on our rook, bishop takes h6, queen takes a3. And then like bishop g5 there, trying to win a piece on d7. I mean, it looks good. I'm not seeing defense there for black. Yes, and the problem is black keeps the queen on the rook on a3. Yeah, but I think white can just take anyway. So I'm thinking rook b1, d takes e5, bishop c1, queen c5. Bishop takes h6, queen takes a3, and then bishop g5 at the end, hitting the knight on f6, which is defending the bishop on d7. And then I'm not seeing a way for black to save the second piece, which means white gets 2 pieces for the rook. But maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. Oh, okay. Here we go. So Ivkov reckoned on rook b1. I did miss something. de, bishop c1, queen f8. Takes. And then he says queen takes a3 here is a question mark because of bishop g5. So we got this one right. This is what I was trying to figure out. And here white is doing well because we're getting the second piece for the rook. But of course black can just take back. So that's what I missed. Rook b6, bishop e6. No, rook b6, rook e6 with a probable draw according to Tal. But instead, Tal found queen d4, which I did not really consider at first glance. Not that I spent a bunch of time on it, but yeah, this wasn't even in my... This was not on my horizon at all. But queen d4 apparently is very strong for white. Okay, just working on the diagonal. Yeah, d5, knight e5, and... So after the move in the game, black's position is lost. Wow. It actually doesn't even give d5 here. So knight h5 was played. If rook a b8, then rook b1, d takes e5, knight e5, queen d2, and what, knight d7, just winning a piece. Yeah, knight takes d7, white comes out with a piece ahead. And then on rook f b8, rook b1, knight e8. Okay, feels like everything should win here. White can play takes, here e5. When knight takes d6, fails to bishop c1. Okay, I mean it's a nice calculation. Everything hanging in black's position. And then on de5, I guess it's just knight takes e5. Yeah. And then white just has too many threats here, like knight g4, knight takes d7. So black would have to do this, and then bishop g7, and rook b1, and white is in time. What's going on here? Knight h5. We're always getting out of the way. Everything is hanging. So, yeah. Yeah, queen d4, very strong move. Honestly, I mean, I didn't really notice it at all. Very, very nice. And it makes so much sense too once you see it, right? I mean, you're just just piling on onto the diagonal. So knight h5 played, e takes d6. He says tempting was e6. Bishop g7 takes. Queen d5 check, king e7 takes. And white has nothing concrete despite his strong position. I mean, still looks like a really good position for white. I would imagine white is much, much better here after like rook e3, followed by e5. I mean, equal material and black's king is on e7, and dark square is super weak. But it sounds like e takes d6 is stronger. Bishop g7, e5. And bishop c6. Okay, knight f4 was more tenacious. After rook e3, knight e6, queen c3. Well, I would still have a 1 position, but he would have certain difficulties to overcome. Hey, GM Canty with the raid. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. How are you guys doing? Come on in. Thanks for the raid. I know you guys have been working hard over there. We're studying some Soviet attacking technique. What's up, White Pepper? We're actually just at the end of this game. Where surprisingly, Tal is the one ahead in material. He's actually the one with like more pawns and extra space, and he's, I think, winning this game. Oh, he was saying here actually after knight e6, queen c3. Then okay, it still would take some work, but White should be winning. Yeah, thanks for following, guys. Welcome to Chess Dojo. Oh, you saw this game, James? Yeah, exactly. This move, rook e3, I wouldn't have definitely wouldn't have come up with this one. Just to put the bishop on c3, and then yeah, rook had to go to a3 to keep black from playing c3. Which is actually, I mean, very, very creative. I was also impressed by this move. Like, I paused here. I was thinking rook b1. But, yeah, this one is super, super strong. Oh, there's the... No, yeah. So knight h5. So black played bishop c6. He was saying knight f4 was maybe more tenacious. After this one, the game continued. Rook back to e3. Takes. Bishop c3. Beautiful. Queen b5. gf3. Otherwise, e5 pawn would be lost. Rook a d8. f4. Rook e6. Threatening this one. Rook b1. Queen c6. Rook b6. Queen c8. Bishop d1, oof. Now that's a maneuver. Bishop h6, and he just takes. He doesn't go bishop g4. Takes f5, and this was resigns. Yeah, good position to resign in. Is, of course, White is just going to be mating on the dark squares very, very soon. Yeah, beautiful game. Okay, next game, game 10, is a training game against Koblenz, who was Tal's trainer. I think this is a pretty famous game. I think. Maybe I'm thinking of a different game. Yeah, actually, I don't know if I recognize this game. Okay. So this was a practice game. This wasn't played in a tournament. All right, let me adjust the player names here. No, this wasn't a rouser. I think that's the game I was thinking of as well. This was actually going to be a Dutch defense. I don't think I've seen this game. Which is not surprising, because this is my first time reading the book. So yeah, I haven't seen a lot of the games. But Koblenz is playing white, Tal playing black. Yeah, we're talking about practice here. Exactly. D4, E6, C4, F5. Okay, knight F3, knight F6, G3, bishop E7, bishop G2. So he's playing classical Dutch. Castles, castles, D6, knight C3, queen E8. Yeah, I mean, it's classic stuff. Rook E1. The idea of this move, followed by E4, was suggested by Steinitz a long time ago. Recently, the game Karas Simigan brought a great win for the Estonian Grandmaster. Queen G6. At first, it seems that this move does not counter White's plan. In the above-mentioned game, Black played the usual Queen H5. And after E4 takes, Rook takes, Knight C6, Bishop F4, Black found himself in a very difficult position. Hey, Gorkum. Thanks for subscribing. No, guys, classical Dutch is specifically, as far as I understand, a Dutch with this kind of D6, E6 flexible structure. If you had G6 and put the bishop on G7, then that would be Leningrad, or if you played D5, then that would be Stonewall. And then D6 is known as the classical. I mean, it's a thing. It's kind of like a Grand Prix attack in a way, because often Black is playing like Knight C6 and E5, F4, Bishop H3, Knight G4, Bishop takes G2, King takes G2, Knight takes D4, Knight takes D4, Queen takes H3. There's just some checkmate. I mean, yeah, Black has reasons to play this. Not every game goes like this, obviously, but a lot of them do. Thousands. Thousands. So anyway, Queen G6. Oh. If Black wants to prevent E4, then he has to go D5. But D5 is not what Black wants to do, I think, in this position. But then takes, Queen B3, C6, and E4 anyway is good for White. Yeah. Yeah, you can watch Jesse's video about it after the game. Okay, also possible Knight E4. Knight E4, actually, I think this is like the main line these days. Like, this is the move they'll play. However, it is interesting to mention that this move was used one of the games from the Latvian Championship semifinal, which finished surprisingly quickly. Queen C2, Queen G6, Knight takes E4 question mark. Oh, I see where this is going. F takes E4, Knight D2, E3. And White resigned because he's losing a rook after takes, first in between move, second in between move, and then winning, and then, yeah, winning the queen. Okay, instead better is bishop E3. And that's it. Okay, so Queen G6 is played. E4. Wow, even back then they knew about this, huh? Takes, rook takes E4. A lot of D4 players don't even know this trick today, but back then they knew about this. Because Queen takes E4 can't be played in view of Knight H4. Which is honestly one of the most surprising queen traps when you first see it. I'm sure a lot of people watching the position are like, what? Like Black's queen is trapped? Like, yeah, queen is lost. Queen is lost. GG. This is a good game. So instead, Black goes Knight C6. But this is now common theory. And White played Rook E3. This move stops Black's freeing maneuver of E5. After the game, my opponent showed me this interesting variation. E5 takes, bishop g4, takes, bishop takes. One may get the impression that black's initiative is worth a pawn, but then would follow c5 exclam. Okay, bishop c5, queen d5 check. So bishop e7, b4, bishop f6, bishop b2 exclam. An interesting repetition of the combinative theme. Now it becomes clear that the rook's task lies on the third rank, I guess, to defend this one. So the point is takes, there's queen b3 check, queen takes b2, and white is better. White is up a pawn, and black, according to Tal, doesn't have enough here. So that's kind of the idea behind rook e3. I guess as prophylaxis against e5. So Tal went bishop f6, d5, takes, knight e5, takes, rook b3. If black now had to lose a tempo for the defense of the queen side, then his position after bishop e3 and rook c1 would be very sad. So he goes bishop f5. Bishop g4 was also an interesting continuation, forcing f3. So bishop f5, he sacks the pawn, takes, bishop c2, queen d2. White naturally doesn't want to place the queen on the e-file, where she would always be in the firing line of black's rooks. Yeah, rook a8, and that's going to cost white another tempo. I guess there's bishop e3, but then bishop d4 looks very annoying. And then just taking and weakening white structure. So queen d2 was played. Rook a8. Yeah, I mean, definitely feels like black has a decent initiative here for the pawn, right? Like, all the pieces are in the game. White's rook is on a1, bishop on c1. But rook takes c7. Now that's 2 pawns. Bishop d3. Apparently black could lose prematurely in case of bishop d4. Wow, takes, rook e1, bishop f1, bishop d3. And now only winning move for white. Anyone? I think it's only winning move. Let me see. Okay, 2 moves went for white. Very nice resource. Bishop h6, yeah, Planet Chess Club, exactly. Discovered attack, aka the double attack. The double attack is often found in positions with lots of hanging pieces. I don't know why I'm being a Pokedex for double attacks, but yeah, that's very nice. And white wins. I guess black has to take this one. White can take here, and white's got the extra rook. I think rook g7 is also working. Queen takes d3, and this looks winning for white. This one's not as obvious because our rook is still on a1. But I don't think black is actually in time here to do something. Although, this one looks less clear, right? There's like... Oh, you know what? Actually, sorry, maybe this one. And then white is up like 3 pawns. That seems pretty clear. So yeah, I think this is working as well. Taking everything on g7 and bishop h6 check. But bishop h6 first is really nice too. Oh yeah. So bishop d3. queen b4, exclam. The only move to save the game. White prevents bishop d4, after which would follow bishop e3. Because now this was a threat in case of takes, check, black is first. White has bishop e3 in time. On the other hand, a distinct weakness now appears at f2. And a natural reaction to the text move, and as a natural reaction to the text move, I had the idea of checking the tempting sacrifice of the rook. Rook takes f2, king takes, queen f6 check. It is easy to see that white can't play bishop f4 because bishop d4 is mate. Okay. With mate to follow, king f3, bishop e2. And after takes, check, bishop f3, there's bishop d4 check, king g2, bishop f1 check, and the queen gets in. So white is left with only one move. So he's saying takes, queen f6 check, king g1, only defense, bishop d4 check, king h1. And although black is a very active position, we can describe it as one which promises a lot but gives very little. So essentially it looks nice, but no actual follow-up here with the rook down. So rook takes f2 was not played. Instead he goes a5. So then on queen takes a5, rook takes f2, king takes. There's bishop d4 check immediately. And white is losing. So queen a4. Very sharp game. Now bishop takes g3 is played. hg, rook e1 check. King h2, bishop e4. I think the idea of takes, queen h5 check, king moves, queen h1 mate. So bishop e3, queen h5 check. Wow, looks super scary for white. Bishop h3, rook takes e3. The beautiful bishop g2, wow, it doesn't work. This move is sick. King takes queen f3, king h2, queen h1 is mate. But white saves with queen g4. So rook takes e3 was the game. I mean, this looks totally decisive. And he says, white's position seems hopeless. All black's pieces are aimed at white's king. But suddenly white's distant rook comes unexpectedly into the fight. So yeah, I mean, if white takes here, then queen e2 check, I think, is like just mating directly. King g1, queen takes e3, king h2, queen f2, and game over. But white found rook takes g7. I have to say that I looked at this move earlier and thought king h8 was a satisfactory answer, but after a closer examination of the position, I found that there would follow queen d4, double exclam. And after rook takes f2 check, king g1. What an interesting position. Black is attacking, but white checkmates the attacker. So I had to change my initial decision. Wow. So he does take queen d4 check, king g8. Queen takes e3. So he was saying on king h8, this was his original idea. Then he realized that just queen d4, rook takes f2, king g1. And according to Tal's notes, the players have to call an ambulance, but not for white. That's what he says. It's time to call an ambulance, but not for white, exclam. Yeah, I mean, rook takes, there's rook takes. All the checks seem to be covered. Next is just mates. I don't know. I would try some rook d3 move, but I'm guessing it's just not in time. Yeah, queen e5. I guess, see, takes, king f2. Rook f3 check, king e2, king takes g7. That position might be good for white. Sorry, not king takes. Oops. Takes, check, takes, and then maybe like d6 and d7 at the end here, and we can say white is doing well. Rook d3, rook d1 even. And black is not stopping the pawn. No, actually king is in time here. Hold on. Takes, king f8. I mean, maybe it's still good for white, but white is up a pawn after all, but I don't know. Maybe d7 first. And then if the king comes in, then white can be a little bit more active with the rook. But should be good. Hey, Osmok. That's great to hear. Okay, so black ended up taking on g7. Queen d4 check. Black has nothing decisive after rook f6. Queen takes e3. Rook h6, g4, queen e5 check. Queen g3, queen takes b2. Rook e1. Yeah, makes sense. White is all kind of covered. So king g8, queen takes e3. Bishop f5. g4, bishop takes g4. Rook g1. How's Tal going to get out of this one? Oh, rook f2, yeah. First, we get the impression that white forgot about this possibility, but later we realize that all is very well calculated. Wow, so he's actually fine here. Takes. Bishop g2, queen h5 check. Bishop h3. And black has no way to do anything. So check, bishop g2, queen d2. The last trap. If queen e8 check, king g7, queen e7 check, rook f7, black wins because of the threat of queen h6 check. Wow. So tricky. There's still queen h4. But, okay, this is a very, very healthy pawn up. So I guess this would be nice for black. So queen d2, white played, takes, bishop f3, h5, takes, rook takes, king f7, rook a4, and draw was agreed. Yeah, I know, Mr. Artbrains, it's tough. This is, I mean, these players are extremely strong. And Koblenz, you know, he deserves a lot of credit. I mean, he was Tal's trainer, but he could play on equal terms with the guy, huh? Koblenz could also calculate. Yeah, he had some nice games as well. I feel like I've seen a number of his games. But yeah, very, very exciting game. But I like how Tal plays. This I feel like would have worked against so many players, but man, why was White defended really well. All right, this was. Then queen takes d2 was the game. Beautiful. Okay, let's see. Next game is Aronson Tall, or Aronson Tall. Then we got Karadas Tall. Oh boy. We have a lot of games left. Yeah, basically I've just been trying to read a little bit of this book at a time. So we did about 20 pages today, which I think is good. We're up to page 81. Started on page 60 today. But yeah, I'll keep doing this. I imagine you guys like the going through games on stream. I can't promise I'll be able to do this every time because I really like going through the games on the board. But I feel like people like Tall, and I can stream, but also go through some of these games myself. Oh, we have Tall Geller coming up, 1958. That's a classic. That's an absolute classic game. Should probably spend some time on that one. Alrighty. Oh, winning line purpose was the black sack on f2. Because white played this move queen b4, that was very accurate. We did briefly mention it because the queen here covers this square. So on a5 takes, then the point is black can now sack with rook takes f2. So if you don't take the rook, then there's like rook takes this coming and queen e4, and then after king takes, bishop d4 check. White's king just doesn't make it out alive. This is already mate, and otherwise white has to play bishop e3, and then black can take with the rook, take with the bishop. It's all good. Yeah, maybe this one because this sets up the ambulance tricks or the double check tricks. So it always takes me like a second look when I see this position. I'm like, this is mate. What? Checkmate? There's no way. No, you can't take both pieces. But yeah, this one I'm sure would also be more than sufficient. But yeah, that was the point, to distract the queen from the d4 square. Which, okay, pretty logical. Well, all right, guys, I think that's going to do it for the studying. If there are any final questions, I'd be happy to field them. Otherwise, we're probably going to be wrapping up the stream here pretty soon. But a couple of reminders, a couple of shows coming up. If you're not familiar with Dojo, we do a lot of different streams. But tomorrow morning, we got the Dojo Bros at 10:30 a.m. That's Scott and Charlie. And they work together on their chess, as long as their friendship doesn't get in the way. Yeah, Osmak, absolutely. If I could talk about finding a player you want to be like, well, honestly, it's pretty literal. You know, as you follow chess and play through a lot of games, you might encounter players whose style you really enjoy. A lot of players like Tall. A lot of people really resonate with the games of guys like Fischer, Capablanca, Rubinstein, Petrosian, Alekhine, Botvinnik. All these guys, you know, they had their different styles, and they definitely have a lot of fans. Personally, I always like the games of Aronian and Kramnik, and I like playing through a lot of their games. Yeah, exactly. Definitely take a look around. You know, there's a Zurich 1953, which features a lot of amazing players. Smyslov, Keres. I'm a big fan of Keres as well. Geller, I think, is fantastic. Really, really instructive player. So yeah, start playing through different games. Eventually, you'll definitely take a liking to someone, I'm sure. Most people are generally more fond of the attacking, side, and they like the attacking players versus other people who like the slow positional squeeze. The Karpovs, Rubinsteins, Petrosians of the world. Personally, I think both styles are absolutely wonderful and super instructive and worth looking at. But yeah, I would say just take a look at a bunch of games and try to draw inspiration from there. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the older players. The question was whether they were all kind of fast and loose. No, a lot of the older players were very solid. Like Capablanca is known to be one of the most solid players of all time. Rubinstein as well, a very technical style. So yeah, I wouldn't say they were attacking players. I would say they were definitely more on the positional side. But of course, all these guys, if given the right position, they would checkmate their opponent. Yeah, Rotlewi Rubinstein, for example, just like a brilliant tactical game. And Capablanca had many nice attacking games as well. But okay, in general, he was more of like the positional style, and his games were generally considered to be super accurate. But yeah, guys, let's see what else we got coming up. So we got Dojo Bros. We have a U.S. Chess School on a Thursday with Grandmaster Shanklin. His classes are always super super tough. And then David is going to be doing his How to Attack series Thursday night as usual. He's been recording his course live on the channel. And then on Friday we got our usual Endgame Sensei and Dojo Talks double header. Where first we do Endgame Sensei, where Jesse tortures us with an endgame, and then we're going to be doing Dojo Talks, our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest and greatest in the chess world. Where to see the schedule? Good question. Under the stream, there's a link to the schedule. You should also join the Discord, which has links to the schedule as well. And also on the Discord, you can get announcements for the streams and also our events that we do, our tournaments as well. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, whether it's nighttime or getting started with Wednesday, February 2nd. That's still very far away for me. I have a whole sleep before I get to Wednesday, but I'm definitely looking forward. V Prahar, that sounds like you're talking two of my courses. Like I did a forcing moves course for iChess and an Endgame 101 course, Endgame Studies 101 for Chessable. So I would recommend both of them. Yeah. Why do you have to why do you have to choose between one or the I think they're both good. Obviously. I made them both. Yeah, I also did the squeeze for iChess, which I thought was some good material as well. Yeah, it's all good. I mean, the courses are a great value. It's just you get a couple hours of like lessons and stuff. It just depends on what you want to work on. If you want to work on your calculation, then the forcing moves. If you want to work on your positional understanding, then the squeeze, which is all about converting advantages. And if you want to learn how to solve endgame studies, then endgame studies. Yeah, but it's up to you to figure out which course you're interested in. No, it's not even a hard question for me. I'm very proud of the courses. I feel like I put a lot of effort in them so that they turn out well. So I definitely stand by them. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'm gonna find someone to raid here real quick, and you guys can continue watching. Hopefully, some instructive chess. All right. Speaking of Danya, I guess we're rating Danya. There's not a lot of streamers on right now, but his stuff is always amazing, and he's super instructive. Thanks, Plotkin. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right, guys, go tell Danya we said hello. Absolutely. Have a good night, everyone. See y'all. Take care.